Well, shalom. This is Daniel John Lee with Torah Restoration Ministries. It is day 3 of the Feast of Sukkot, and my website is www.spiritandtorah.com. I'm on a very high ridge overlooking the creek that you can see there down below, not far from where my sukkah is set up. As you can see, it's just a gorgeous canyon. Isn't that beautiful? Fall colors there. And just this gorgeous canyon. I'm pretty close to the edge, so I have to be careful. It's just beautiful. Hallelujah. Well, I tell you what, I could not ask for a more idyllic setting to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles of Sukkot. It's just incredible. I hope you're all enjoying the Feast of Sukkot. I have a few things I want to share with you. Last night I was standing outside and the moon decided not to rise until much later, so I was actually for the first time in the past few days able to see just the full splash of the stars up above. And man, it was incredible. And I must have stood out there for probably an hour just gazing up at Yahweh's handiwork. And all of a sudden, this still small voice said, "Start counting the stars." And I was like, "What? There's too many." He said, "No, count only the ones that are the brightest." And so I started counting them. I counted 7 right in front of me, and they literally formed a tabernacle. I mean, it had a pointed top and everything. And then like a string of pearls, 8, 9, and 10. Just to the right. And then next to that, the Little Dipper like a clenched fist, 11, 12, 13, 14. And I started thinking about the years, 2001 to 2017. And then I turned a little bit more, and I saw the moon had not quite crested the trees. You could see the moon glow, but crowning the moon glow, the 2 witnesses, 15 and 16. And then like a straight line right across the center of the sky, right above me, the brightest star was number 17. I don't know. I just kept thinking of the years 2001 to 2017 and Yahshua returning in 2017. It was pretty amazing, though. Later that night, I opened the scriptures, and in 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 1 through 7, I started reading about that story where the prophets are with Elijah, and they have these wood beams, and they're trying to build dwelling places next to the garden. And there's all these references to wood beams and sticks. And one of the prophets drops an iron hammer into the water. And he's really upset about it because it was borrowed. It wasn't his. And Elijah says, "Calm down." And he takes a stick of wood, cuts it down, casts it into the water, and the iron hammer floats right to the top. And they're able to retrieve it. I was thinking about that, and I just kept seeing the words beam and wood and stick, and the stick cast down. And I kept thinking of the wood that Yahshua was crucified to the tree. And then the iron rose to the top, and immediately I thought of Psalm chapter 2, where it says Yahshua, upon his second return, will shatter his enemies with a rod of iron, like breaking the pieces of a potter's vessel. I thought, isn't that cool? Right there in those first 7 verses, it's like the first and second comings of Yahshua are right there embedded in the Word. Anyway, it was just very comforting, and I just thought to myself, I wonder how many prophetic pictures of the first and second return of Yahshua are all through the scriptures. I mean, we know the obvious ones, but how many are just embedded in just the word pictures that are created by the language that's used, even though it's not directly referring to the Messiah course, all the scriptures, the Torah, starting from Genesis all the way to Revelation, I mean, they all point toward Yahshua and they point toward the Messiah. Anyway, it was just incredible. I've been hiking this morning and just going through the various trails and just all the different places where people are, and it was just amazing. It was just awesome. And shalom.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I'm just recording a YouTube here.
Oh, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. No problem.
I was wondering, is this the hot springs area, or?
I have no idea. I know there's a shooting range just down there, but you're about the first person I've seen in the last few days.
This direction. It's supposed to be pretty close.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, there's hardly anyone out here. This is the first guy I've seen in probably the last few days. It's just so quiet and peaceful and perfect. Last night, as I was in my sukkah, there was this wind that was just blowing fiercely through the trees. And it was sort of causing my sukkah to tremble and shake. But it blew so, it sounded like almost like a freight train just hurtling down the tracks. And it would I just kept thinking of the breath of Yahweh, just blowing through the trees. Finally, about 3:30 in the morning, I climbed out of my little sukkah and I just looked around, and yeah, my tent was fine, but the moon now was fully up in the center of the sky, and so the ground was just dappled in this blue and silver shadow, as I stood under the trees, and it was like nothing else. It just was so enchanting. Anyway, just continued to be reminded that this Feast of Sukkot, this Feast of Sukkot, Tabernacles, it's a blessing. It's an absolute blessing, and you should definitely take advantage of it. Yah bless. Shalom. Check out the website at spiritandtorah.com, and I'll see you as the week of Sukkot continues to unfold. Shalom.